The law-effect theory. This is the last feature of behaviorism. The theory of law of effect was proposed by Edwin Thorndike in 1898. And according to this theory, any behavior that is followed by pleasant consequences is likely to be repeated, and any behavior followed by unpleasant consequences is likely to be stopped. Which means that this theory looks at the effect, that pleasant consequences would encourage the repetition of a certain behavior and unpleasant consequences would discourage a certain behavior. Learning is the process of forming associations or bonds. So according to Thorndike, the connection of a certain act with a certain situation and resultant pleasure, this needs to be looked at. There are 3 parameters proposed by Thorndike that there has to be a connection of a certain act or behavior with certain situation and how that would lead into a pleasurable consequences. The main purpose of the study of the animal mind is to learn the development of mental life down through the phylum to trace in particular the origin of human faculty. Thorndike conducted numerous experiments on animals, and he explained that the purpose behind conducting those experiments on animal mind is to basically look at or trace down to the minutest details or origins of human faculty. So from those experiments, he intended to draw certain evidence that how, in terms of human faculty, in terms of human mind, you can come up with the similar understanding of building up of associations and bonds. The theory proposed 3 laws of learning. Number 1, law of readiness. According to law of readiness, the learning has to do with the motivational aspects. The motivation plays a very crucial role in terms of developing a certain behavior and a response. Second is law of exercise. That has 2 parts. A, the law of use, and B, the law of disuse. According to Thorndike, the connections which grow stronger are the ones which are used extensively, and the connections which cease to exist are the ones which are not used. Third law is the law of effect. According to this law, connections are strengthened only when the making of the connection results in a satisfying state of affairs, and that they are weakened when the result is an annoying state of affairs. So at the end of it, the positive results or the pleasurable results play an important role in the strengthening of connections and bonds. Connectionism is based on the conduction of series of puzzle box experiments. Now he developed the theory of connectionism based on the conduction of series of puzzle box experiments, through which he tried to emphasize that learning was defined as a function of the amount of time required for the animal to escape from the box. So the time which goes into the performance of acts and how much time a certain animal takes before it actually escapes the puzzle box. Let's have the understanding through this image. Thorndike devised a classic experiment in which he used a puzzle box to test the laws of learning. He placed a cat in a puzzle box which was encouraged to escape to reach a scrap of fish plates placed outside. Thorndike would put a cat into a box and time how long it took to escape. The cats experimented with different ways to escape the puzzle box and reach the fish. Eventually, they would stumble upon the lever which opened the cage. When it had escaped, it was put in again, and once more the time it took to escape was noted. In successive trials, the cats would learn that pressing the lever would have favorable consequences and that they would adopt this behavior, becoming increasingly quick at pressing the lever. Now, through this experiment, Thorndike looked at the amount which was taken by the cat. And it has been observed that with repetition, later on, the time started to decrease. This basically refers to the trials. These and these. So with repeated trials, the time has started to decline. With this, we have to look at the supplementing characteristics which are there to reinforce these three laws. They are multiple response or varied reaction, set or attitude, partial activity or prepotency of elements, assimilation, associative shifting. Now let's see what we mean by multiple response or varied reaction. When faced with a problem, an animal will try one response after another until it finds success. Second is set or attitude. The responses that an animal will try and the result that it will find satisfying depend largely on the animal's attitude or state of time. Number 3, partial activity or prepotency of elements. Certain features of a situation may be prepotent in determining a response than others, and an animal is able to attend to critical elements and ignore less important ones. This ability to attend to parts of a situation make possible response by analogy and learning through insight. Assimilation. Assimilation is the one, according to this, we need to understand that due to assimilation of analogous elements between two stimuli, an animal will respond to a novel stimulus in the way it has previously responded to a similar situation. And associative shifting means this transfer of a response evoked by a given stimulus to an entirely different stimulus. To sum up, law of effect holds that behaviors are modified by their consequences, and once the association between behavior and consequences is established, the response is reinforced. And the association holds the sole responsibility for the occurrence of that behavior.